SUVs are supposed to be built tough, big engines, family-friendly, dependable for the long haul. Most American buyers expect to cruise past 100,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes and tire rotations. But here's the ugly truth nobody talks about. Some SUVs don't even make it that far. Engines seize, transmissions collapse, cooling systems overheat, and it all happens long before the odometer hits six figures. These aren't obscure models nobody buys. They're popular SUVs sitting in thousands of driveways right now. The ones families thought were safe bets. Instead, they turn into financial nightmares. Repair bills that exceed the vehicle's value. Insurance companies that won't cover certain failures. Resale values that fall off a cliff. I'm counting down 10 SUVs that look reliable on the outside but are ticking time bombs under the hood. Wait until you hear about number 5. Some of those engines don't just fail early. They collapse at barely half the mileage most families expect. Let's dive in. Number 10, Ford Explorer. America's family SUV that breaks before the kids finish school. The Explorer has been a household name for decades. Big, practical, marketed as the perfect family hauler. But too many can't even reach 100,000 miles without falling apart. The transmission problem, owners report violent shifting, slipping gears, and sudden breakdowns. These failures don't happen after years of abuse. Many Explorers lose their gearboxes at just 40,000 to 60,000 miles, when families still expect the SUV to feel practically new. Replacement cost? $5,000 to $7,000, often more than the vehicle's worth at that point. The engine issues, the EcoBoost engines, especially the 2.3-liter and 3.0-liter V6, are notorious for coolant leaks, overheating, and blown head gaskets. Once that happens, you're staring down a $6,000 to $10,000 engine replacement. Add electrical gremlins, frozen touchscreens, glitchy cameras, malfunctioning sensors, and the Explorer quickly goes from family favorite to financial nightmare. On the used market, they look like bargains. But once the repairs start, many owners find themselves upside down on their loans, paying more for fixes than the SUV is worth. Number 9, Nissan Pathfinder. At number 9, the Nissan Pathfinder, the family SUV that forgets how to drive. On paper, the Pathfinder should have been the perfect alternative to a Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot. Big, comfortable, affordable. For years, families bought them thinking they were making a smart choice. They were wrong. The CVT catastrophe. Nissan's CVT transmission is one of the weakest ever fitted to a mainstream SUV. Owners describe the same pattern repeatedly: high-pitched whining, jerky acceleration, slipping under load, then total failure. The kicker? It often happens between 60,000 to 90,000 miles, way before most families even think about major repairs. When it goes, you don't repair a CVT, you replace it. Expect $4,000 to $6,000. But here's the cruel irony. Even if you replace it, the new unit often fails again because it has the same weak design. Some owners pay twice for the same problem. Nissan extended warranties in certain markets, but plenty of drivers found themselves stranded just outside coverage, footing the entire bill. On the used market, Pathfinders look cheap, almost too cheap. Mechanics know why. Their ticking time bombs and extended warranties become practically mandatory. Number 8, Jeep Cherokee. It should have been rugged, but instead it guzzles oil like a two-stroke. The Cherokee looked perfect on paper. Bold styling, family-friendly space, a badge tied to decades of off-road heritage. But under the hood, the 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine turned it into one of the most disappointing SUVs you can buy. Severe oil consumption. Many owners report losing nearly a quart every 1,000 miles or less. That means constant top-offs just to keep the engine alive. Miss even one and damage starts fast. Piston rings wear, cylinders score, and before long the engine is on the verge of seizing. It doesn't stop there. These engines are notorious for head gasket failures, rough idling, and sudden stalls, sometimes at low speeds or while stuck in traffic. These aren't rare cases. They're common failures that leave drivers stranded and furious. The financial hit. A rebuild or replacement engine runs $5,000 to $7,000, often more than the SUV is worth on the used market. That's why resale values are in the gutter and why dealers avoid them. The Cherokee had potential, but with such a fragile heart, It's less of a family SUV and more of a financial trap on wheels. Number 7. Chevrolet Equinox, the SUV that drinks oil faster than fuel. On the outside, the Equinox looks like a safe, no-nonsense family car. Affordable, practical, one of the best-selling SUVs in America. But underneath hides a fatal flaw: the 2.4-liter Ecotec engine. Infamous for excessive oil consumption, owners report burning a quart every 1,000 miles or less. Miss even one top-up, and the engine starts eating itself alive. Piston rings fail, cylinders score, and before you know it, the entire engine seizes. These failures don't wait for high mileage either. Many happen before 80,000 miles, when most families expect nothing more than basic maintenance. A replacement engine costs $4,000 to $6,000. The kicker? Plenty of owners replace it only to face the same issue again. Add common problems with timing chains and head gaskets, and the Equinox quickly transforms from budget SUV into financial nightmare. The used market reflects this ugly truth. Equinoxes are everywhere, priced cheap, but smart buyers avoid them. Once built as a dependable family hauler, today it's more of a driveway ornament waiting for its next engine failure. Number 6. Jaguar I-Pace. The Jaguar I-Pace, the electric vehicle that kills your wallet faster than its battery dies. When Jaguar launched the I-Pace, it was hailed as revolutionary. Sleek styling, futuristic tech, a British badge going head-to-head with Tesla. For a moment, it looked like the UK had built the ultimate electric SUV. In reality, it's become one of the costliest mistakes you can buy used. The battery nightmare. In an EV, the battery pack is everything. In the I-Pace, it fails far too often, sometimes well before 100,000 miles. Owners report rapid range loss, charging glitches, even total shutdowns. When the pack dies, replacement costs are staggering: $15,000 to $30,000. That's often more than the car's resale value. Drivers also report charging systems that overheat, warning lights flashing randomly, and situations where the car refuses to restart after plugging in at a public charger. For a luxury EV, that's unacceptable. Catastrophic depreciation. While Teslas hold value, the I-Pace collapses. These SUVs lose over 65% of their value in just 3 years. Dealers can't move them. Financing traps buyers underwater, and used models sit unsold for months. Number 5. Volvo XC90, the luxury SUV that forgot how to age. Volvo has long been synonymous with safety and durability. The XC90 was supposed to carry that legacy into the SUV era. Families loved its spacious cabin, high-tech features, and Swedish badge of trust. But for too many owners, the dream ended early, sometimes well before 100,000 miles. Transmission failure. Early XC90s are notorious for gearboxes giving out between 65,000 to 90,000 miles. Drivers report harsh shifting, slipping gears, and sudden breakdowns that leave the SUV stranded. Replacing that transmission costs $5,000 to $7,000, often more than the SUV's worth on the used market. Electrical chaos. The XC90 is infamous for failing infotainment systems, glitchy sensors, random warning lights, and power windows that suddenly quit. For a so-called luxury SUV, it feels more like an expensive lottery ticket. You never know what will break next. Depreciation adds insult to injury. A vehicle that cost over $50,000 new can sink below $10,000 once buyers learn about the repair bills. Number 4. Range Rover Evoque. Prestige on the outside, chaos under the hood. The Evoque was designed as the stylish entry point into the Land Rover family. Sleek looks, luxury badge, Range Rover prestige without the bulk. It's sold like crazy, becoming a bestseller across the UK and making waves in the US. But peel back that glamour and you'll find one of the least reliable SUVs money can buy. The 2.0-liter engine problem, notorious for overheating and cooling system failures. Owners report sudden temperature spikes with almost no warning, leading to warped cylinder heads or, in worst cases, total engine seizure. When that happens, you're not repairing, you're replacing the engine. Expect $7,000 to $10,000. Brutal depreciation. A car that cost over $50,000 new can now be found for well under $20,000. Sounds like a bargain until you realize why. Dealers struggle to move them, and depreciation hammers owners who thought they were buying into prestige. The Evoque proves that a luxury badge doesn't guarantee luxury reliability. Number 3, Dodge Journey, affordable family transport that became a money pit on wheels. On paper, the Journey looked like a bargain. 3 rows of seating, low sticker price, plenty of space for families on a budget. In reality, it's one of the most short-lived SUVs you can buy. Transmission trouble. Owners report slipping gears, violent jerks, and total failures, often happening as early as 60,000 to 80,000 miles. Replacement costs, $3,500 to $5,000. A brutal hit for a vehicle marketed as affordable. Engine issues. The 2.4-liter four-cylinder is notorious for blown head gaskets and oil leaks, while the V6 guzzles fuel and suffers from premature timing chain wear. Add electrical glitches, failing air conditioners, and suspension issues, and the Journey feels like a vehicle designed to quit early. On the used market, Journeys are everywhere, priced dirt cheap. That's because mechanics and dealers know the truth. Once you hit 100,000 miles, keeping one alive often costs more than the SUV itself is worth. Number 2, GMC Acadia, the SUV that promises comfort but delivers breakdowns. The Acadia was marketed as a reliable mid-size family hauler with professional-grade GMC quality. Too many owners learned the hard way that this SUV wasn't built to last. Transmission problems. Acadias are infamous for slipping, hard shifts, and sudden failures, often before 90,000 miles. Replacing the gearbox costs $4,000 to $6,000, and in some cases, it fails again within just a few years. Engine failures. The 3.6-liter V6 is plagued with timing chain wear, sometimes stretching or breaking before 80,000 miles. That leads to catastrophic engine damage and repair bills north of $6,000. Add electrical issues, steering failures, and water pump leaks, and the Acadia becomes a financial nightmare for families who thought they were buying peace of mind. Depreciation makes things worse. A vehicle that cost over $40,000 new can drop below $10,000 on the used market, and buyers still walk away once they research the repair history. Number 1, Land Rover Discovery Sport, the SUV that destroyed more family budgets than any other. On the surface, the Discovery Sport looked perfect. British styling, luxury badge, practicality wrapped in prestige. But underneath, it's hiding one of the worst reliability records in the entire SUV market. Ingenium engine nightmare. These engines are infamous for oil dilution, stretched timing chains, failing turbos, and in countless cases, complete engine seizure. Sometimes well before 80,000 miles. One day it's running fine, the next your dash is lit up like a Christmas tree. Days later, you're told you need a brand new engine, $8,000 to $12,000, often more than the SUV is worth. Multiple failures, gearbox failures, frozen infotainment screens, reversing cameras cutting out, sensors that quit randomly. Add it together and you get an SUV that strands families as often as it carries them. Catastrophic depreciation. From over $50,000 new, many now trade for under $20,000. Even at that price, buyers hesitate. Dealers struggle to sell them, mechanics warn against them, and forums are filled with regretful owners who poured thousands into endless repairs. And that's the brutal reality. 10 SUVs that simply don't survive the test of time. They look dependable in the showroom, but before 100,000 miles, they turn into money pits. Draining wallets with blown engines, failing transmissions, and resale values that fall off a cliff. The lesson is simple. Reliability beats reputation. A fancy badge or low sticker price might tempt you, but long-term costs can destroy your budget faster than you think. Here's what these failures have in common. Premature transmission failures before 90,000 miles, engine problems that cost more to fix than the vehicle's worth, electrical systems that fail randomly, depreciation so severe that financing becomes a trap, parts and labor costs that make extended warranties mandatory. The financial impact goes beyond just repairs. Insurance companies track these failure rates, and that affects your premiums. Banks know which models end up underwater on loans. Mechanics recognize the patterns and warn their friends and family away from these vehicles. So let me ask you, have you been burned by one of these SUVs? Or do you know someone who poured thousands into repairs before hitting 100,000 miles? Share your story in the comments. It could save another driver from the same mistake. If you want more brutally honest breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because the best defense against a bad SUV is knowing which ones to avoid. Next time, I'll show you which SUVs actually deliver on their promises. The ones that make it to 200,000 miles without breaking your bank account. See you there.